today. My younger brother, Cade.
Hello.
Joining us.
What's up, Cade? Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
How's life?
Good. ThriftCon was today.
Yeah.
In Denver. Exciting.
Exciting stuff.
That's what we're here to talk about.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what we want to touch on today is thrifting. Cade is a pro. Maybe.
Not really.
A pro. But I would say you guys are pretty experienced thrifters compared to someone like myself who probably doesn't have as much experience.
Yeah.
But have been pushed into a little bit by you guys, I'd say.
So that's why we want to talk about it, just because I think it's definitely been something that's been enjoyable for us both.
Yeah.
And something we've been doing a lot.
Yeah,
this past
definitely.
few
It has
years.
blown up, the
So,
idea of thrifting.
That's a topic I want to talk about. Want to talk about, get into like what thrifting is for someone that isn't as familiar with it.
Yeah. A little overview of thrifting. It's really just any garage sale, flea market, Goodwill is a big one. Any like recycled clothing outlet where you can buy discounted clothes at a cheap price.
Mm-hmm.
So you think thrifting, does it have to be pre-owned?
I'd say that's like
thrifting?
a criteria
Okay.
of like thrifted clothing.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
I think it's more just like recycled clothes, because even TJ Maxx or Marshall's is kind of considered a thrift store because it's taking the clothes that weren't bought at, let's say, Nordstrom Rack, Nordstrom's, Target, whatever
Right.
else they get it from, and giving it back
Is that
to
what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, I did
Yeah.
not know that.
Discounted prices.
Yeah.
But they're
Wait,
not.
TJ Maxx, you
But
said?
like that's, for example, like those clothes weren't worn before. Those are new.
Yeah, they just didn't sell.
But that's still, I mean, I guess.
That also applies to Goodwill though, where they will have like new clothes from those bigger department stores that didn't sell. They buy them in bulk and then try to sell them at their outlets at an even cheaper price.
So you
I
can.
did not realize
Yeah,
that.
you can thrift clothes that are like have not been touched, too.
Yeah. Okay, so so that's why they're less expensive.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting.
how did you get into thrifting?
Yeah, definitely. So I started off my college experience at University of Tampa in Florida, and I think there I was definitely exposed to a different vibe than what I was used to in the Midwest. Because, Midwest style, you see like hoodies, flannels, jeans, that's kind of the vibe when you're going
Jerseys.
out. But
It's
in
just
Tampa,
casual all the time.
Definitely, yeah. And so going to Tampa, new to the clubbing scene, influencer vibe, all that, realized I needed new clothes because my friends were going out in designer or like much nicer clothing than I had in my wardrobe. So I started buying, piece by piece from some vintage store. I think it was called like Vintage Market, just like, hey, that looks cool, I'll buy that. It was somewhat cheap, so like affordable for a college student. And then I came here because Tampa sucked, and that's when it really changed for me. I really got into like, oh wow, people here, like this is what they're doing. This is like a hobby of some people where they're going out every weekend and, either trying to make some money as a college kid, reselling what they found from, Goodwill and whatnot. But yeah, I was definitely exposed to it at a larger scale in Boulder.
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely feel like thrifting is like a Boulder vibe. Even Colorado in general. Again, we just went to ThriftCon, which they do have at several cities. I think like Vegas and LA, but they don't have it in Chicago or.
I think their Denver convention is also the biggest one.
Yeah, it was huge.
They promoted that on the site. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm curious how you got into thrifting.
I got into it from TikTok, actually. When I was big into TikTok during quarantine, too. Also, that's another thing. We would thrift kind of during quarantine, and my mom's big into sewing. We would, I guess, thrift clothes and then kind of
reinvent them.
Yeah.
Throw patches, throw
whatever.
Yeah, really.
Take 2 shirts, make it into one.
Mm-hmm.
Take old sweatpants, make it into a shirt, like whatever.
Also, dyeing was a big thing with bleach.
We were tie-dyeing old
yeah.
t-shirts, sweatshirts, whatever. But I did see on TikTok, one of the girls I follow, like an influencer, was big into thrifting, and she was going to Goodwill bins. And I've always, like, you know, obviously we donate clothes to Goodwill all the time, but I'd never, like, shopped there, thinking, like, shopping there for myself. And she went to bins, and she got, like, basically a whole, like, IKEA bag worth of clothes. Like, just stuffed it, and it was worth, what, $20? Because they, at the bins, they, what do they do? They
it's
do it
it's
by
like
$1.39
per pound of clothing. So
I think following her, and she would show me, like, what she actually got, which was so cool. And I was like, oh my god, she got, like, a Harley Davidson jacket, she got cute Levi jeans, you know, like, really expensive stuff that people want in the stores, but she was getting it for, like, $5 or whatever it was.
Right.
So I looked up, like, where's the Goodwill bins, and they ended up being in Denver. So we went, and
that's kind of how it started.
yeah. Because I realized you could get so many cool things for such a cheap price. And obviously, as like a college student, I want to look good without paying a ton of money.
Exactly.
You know.
That's really what it's about.
So I want to get more into the Goodwill bins because. All right, I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm very new to thrifting, I'd say, and it hasn't been something on my radar until you guys really like got into it. And I think where I went to school, it wasn't like crazy huge. I didn't think a lot of people were doing it. There was one store I really liked, which was Thrifted Clothes. I didn't even. Yeah, it was called Select. Yeah.
And the crazy thing about Select is they only have 2 stores, one in Boulder and one in Bloomington, Indiana, which is crazy.
Yeah, so it lined up pretty perfectly because. But that's a cool store if you ever end up in those 2. It's in New York now, I think, too, but Select is a sweet store.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to be offering a good perspective on someone who's not too, just doesn't know too much about thrifting or, like, doesn't know the secrets, I guess. And so one thing I want to ask you guys about the Goodwill bins is I never really realized this was a thing until you guys took me one time. But I want to dive into it a little bit because it can be a culture shock to somebody who's never been thrifting or doesn't know what to expect, I guess.
Definitely.
So I guess someone explain how the Goodwill bins work. Like, I guess Cade, you could explain that.
Okay. It was definitely a shock to me as well. You know, first time. So I really got exposed to it because I had 2 of my friends that were really big into, you know, shoes and thrifting, and they were both running their own shops at that point. And one time I'm like, hey, like I'm pretty into this, you know, like take me with you. And so we went out to the Goodwill bins in Denver, and yeah, total shock. You know, the clothes are in troughs, so it is really just bins, like heaps of clothing in there.
It's like maybe like a 20-foot bin.
Exactly.
But there's like 30 bins.
It's really run on like a strict schedule too, because they're only out there upon intervals of time where they're shipping them out, getting new clothes from the back, bringing those out, and you know, you're lining up, there's tape on the ground, and like these people are yelling at you like, get behind the line, you know, like don't touch the clothing yet, and it's pretty crazy.
It's intense.
It is intense.
It's
definitely.
Especially like when it's your first time going. It's intense.
It really is. Yeah, I was kind of blown away by that. But you know, the more you go, the more you realize it's just like, all right, this is kind of what needs to happen, or else everyone's gonna be digging through all the new stuff, and it makes sense. But no, it's definitely a crazy operation they're running there.
There's guys that just stand there and they're basically like, okay, go, and then everyone just crowds around
Yeah.
the bins and are like pushing people, like taking clothes, you know, like
Definitely.
fighting over.
We
the
see
clothes.
people with like sticks that are like digging
Yeah.
through to
digging.
the bottom.
Everyone has
and,
gloves on. Like you're just
Yeah.
digging.
People spend all day there.
All day.
Just grinding out.
Yeah. Camping out.
You spend like $30 and you have like 100 new clothes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I do want to talk about this. I feel like thrifting does sort of have like a stigma to it.
Definitely.
There's two that come to mind. I don't know if you feel the same way, but one is like, okay, I think in a way you kind of had this when we first started thrifting. It was like, ew, that's dirty. That's someone else's clothes. Like that's gross. You know?
Yeah, I think I still have. I think that's still an issue for me.
Well, yeah.
Which I
you're
get.
getting,
It's hard to get over, I think.
Yeah.
You're getting dog hair on there.
Right.
There's stains.
It's
like
not
these are not
clean.
clean clothes. Yeah.
No.
So that's what I want to
There's
ask
rips.
is like, for two people who I've seen wear a lot of thrifted clothes, how do you get over that like cleanliness thing, I guess? Like if you like feel weird about like wearing
Definitely.
somebody else's
Yeah,
clothes.
yeah. So in my experience, I just, grab a bag full of whatever I find at Goodwill, throw that bag straight into the washer,
Yeah, of
and
course.
either run it like 2 times or
Okay.
my old washer had like a sanitize mode, and I
Oh,
would
nice.
just soak it in there for
Yeah.
like 2.5 hours.
Right.
So you wash it right as you get home.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Do
yeah.
not try it on.
Exactly.
Even
Oh, so
like we wash
yeah.
it right away.
That's the first thing.
And then
That
after
makes
that,
sense.
it's like you wash your own clothes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
true.
yes, it was someone else's clothes, but like that's the recycling part about thrifting and like the benefit of thrifting, in my mind at least, is
No, definitely.
it's
Yeah.
recycling and it's helping the earth better
Yeah.
than like fast fashion, I guess.
Where you wear something for like 1 or 2 times.
One
Right.
season and then it's out of style or you
Exactly.
just don't like it,
Yeah.
whatever.
So what was the other stigma of thrifting?
That it's also in a way taking away from, because I mean in reality Goodwill and Army Salvation is like meant for
Salvation Army, right?
Right.
Salvation
Yeah.
sorry, I believe like lower class income
Definitely.
families.
Yeah.
And I've also seen that people are like, oh, you're taking away from those families.
Definitely.
But
Yeah,
I guess for an example is like going to ThriftCon today, we saw how much clothes in that warehouse. There's more than enough to go around for, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, definitely.
We have
like high
a
quality clothing too.
huge amount of clothing.
Yeah, and I think the bigger part to address from that stigma is like the issue with people, buying whatever 20 pounds of clothes at $1.39 each,
Right.
and then going onto like other sites and trying to resell for like 200x what they bought it for. And that's definitely what the outrage is coming from.
Okay.
For most people that like don't understand it, I
Yeah.
guess. But in their eyes, because I know a lot of people who have found, that one 1998 Pink Floyd like tour T-shirt
Right.
that goes for, let's say, like $1,000 on eBay, and it's
Yeah.
just like, you found that, you're gonna want that money. So
Yeah.
it goes both ways, because you think about it again, we're broke college kids, so that's a huge find. But
Yeah, exactly. And so there's a lot of people who've made a living off of
oh yeah,
just finding cheap clothes and reselling them.
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
The community definitely runs deep, and that's another part I wanted to talk about, or like the extremes of thrifting, because you definitely see that.
Also, a place like ThriftCon, I guess. To explain ThriftCon, it was pretty much like this huge thrifting convention in this massive, like, I think it was in like a rodeo stadium or whatever.
Yeah,
It was like
huge.
huge.
Yeah.
And you see people from all over Colorado probably come to Denver to be at ThriftCon. And the levels of me, who's like basic thrifter, like just looking for like a cool poster or like a cool new shirt or something, to like somebody who's there to like stack up and then resell and like make a
Yeah.
bunch of money.
Yeah.
And so there's a completely, like, it's made for pretty much everybody,
Mhm.
and there's probably thousands of people there,
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of
And
people.
hundreds of
Yeah.
vendors
Packed,
too.
Yeah.
and like millions of pieces of clothing, like
Mhm.
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
It was packed. But yeah,
Yes.
I agree. There definitely are levels to the thrift community, if you want to call it that.
Definitely.
And I think, like, speaking mostly for me, but you too, like, we thrift for ourselves. We're not like finding clothing to sell to other people.
Definitely. Yeah.
I think, like, at least for me, like, I like to go thrifting and I like to shop for myself. Like, I'm not out there trying to find that Pink Floyd t-shirt that
Right.
I'm gonna sell for $1,000.
But it's a plus if
Right.
you do find it, because they're usually
Yeah.
cool. But no, in my experience, it's like, all right, winter's coming, let's get some snow pants, or
Okay.
like a winter jacket if you can find that, or, you know, some pants, some like tougher pants that I can wear to school when it's snowing.
Okay, let's talk about that. So when you're thrifting, for someone, again, who doesn't really know where to
Yeah.
get started,
Right.
what are the items are your go-tos when thrifting? Like, what are
Okay.
you looking for?
So like I wouldn't consider myself like a pro like you guys were saying, but I know people that are like super hardcore, and it's the criteria for like good finds from what I've heard are t-shirts with single stitches, meaning the shirt was manufactured earlier than the 2000s, so that's like
Interesting.
on
I
the
didn't even know that.
on the sleeve cuff, and then, you know, like Carhartt pants, Dickies,
So, like,
Jeep
the
Wrangler
brands.
pants, you know, like those tougher canvas work pants are always going for, you know, crazy amounts of money. But yeah, really just if I'm looking for something like a thermal t-shirt that I can wear while skiing and I find one, I'm gonna be grabbing that.
Yeah. So it really comes up. Alright, so do you have things in mind when you go thrifting, or do you go thrifting and find things that you're like, oh, I need this?
Right, it's so one of the big things I try to tell people that are like new to thrifting is, you know, just like don't expect much, because it is all up to luck. There are so many college kids that go to these areas, it's pretty saturated. So when you're going, you're gonna see people finding these like crazy t-shirts and pants and whatnot, but it's all up to luck at the end of the day. So most people go expecting, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna find like a really cool band t-shirt, and then I need some pants, so I'll go find some like Dickies pants, and like they're thinking like, oh, I'm gonna create this outfit from what I'm picking out of the bins, you know, and it's not like that at all. It's like I've probably only been, you know, 20 to 30 times, and I have just now been able to create a wardrobe, like a complete wardrobe for myself.
Okay.
You have to be patient, definitely.
Yeah, so you think you're gonna have to go a few times to kind of start collecting some things that you can put together?
I would not keep your hopes up, because you know the guys on the extreme ends of the spectrum are going like 3-4 times a week. They're like living at the bins like 6 hours a day, and that's
crazy.
Like, yeah, you'll reap the benefits, but that's up to you if you're really about it like that.
So one thing that has turned me away from thrifting a little bit is the time I feel like that it takes to get those good finds.
Yep.
Yeah.
And because you don't exactly know where you're looking. Like if I was gonna go shopping, and I'm like, oh, I need new T-shirts.
Right.
Like I'd go to H&M, Zara. Like I kind of know where I want to go. Thrifting, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go here. I have no idea what I'm gonna find. So what do you guys think about like putting in those hours? Like, is it tough for you guys? Are you like, I need to get through these hours so I can find some good stuff, or is it like something you guys like to do?
Right. And so like I was saying before, you know, when I bring new people, after probably an hour, it's always like they raise the question, all right, how much longer are we gonna be here? And it's like,
That's me sometimes.
you know, like the day could be slow, there could be a lot of people there, but if it's pretty dead, I'm gonna try to be there for, you know, like 3 hours ish, 4 hours, because again, you really have to be patient. You can't be like panicking to find something and then all distraught when you walk away with like maybe a pair of shorts or like a hoodie. It's just not gonna happen like every single time you're there. So you gotta have like that kind of mindset.
I think it's a more creative way of shopping too. Because like you were saying, like if you go to the mall and you go to Zara and you know exactly what you want, then you're done.
Yeah.
So it's definitely less time consuming. In this way, like we know going thrifting is gonna take all day.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're prepared to give your day to thrifting.
Yeah.
And then
you have to go in with a mindset. Are you like ready to go into a mindset of, like I can go all day and not find anything?
Yeah.
That's kind of what you have to
accept
do.
it.
Yeah.
But for me, like personally, I'm such a shopaholic that even if I don't find anything, I like to be out there shopping and just looking at what's out there and like, you know what I mean? Like I love shopping.
Okay,
That's me.
and for little like devil's advocate here, I am very impatient, and that really kills me when I'm thrifting too. But it's kind of just like, all right, I made the trip out here. I'll stay out here for X amount of time, but once that time limit's up, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Like whether I find something or not.
Yeah.
Because you got to cut it off at some point.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
and drive yourself crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, gotcha. So like, I think one example of that I have is the first time I ever went to the bins. I've actually only been there once, but first time I went to the bins, I didn't find anything but this football, and I was like, sweet. I'll just grab this football.
Mm-hmm.
I bring it up, and she was like, yeah, $3. Like, great, fine. I was like, sweet, yeah. Like, I can just blow this football up, and I'll throw it around, and I get home, blow it up. There's a hole in it.
Right.
So then I was just like, all right, $3 on the drain, and I'm kind of like sitting there like, how do you know like what you're gonna get? Because I like think this football is gonna be good, but at the same time, somebody threw it away for a reason, and I found that out when I got home.
No, that's a great point to bring up because a lot of times when I'm going to my friends' houses that are like collectors, let's say, they'll be pulling out like these crazy band tees or like hoodies that are like kids extra small.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, how cool would this be if this was in my
If it was
size?
bigger, yeah, exactly.
And it's still worth like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like you'd be surprised. But exactly, you don't like you could find the coolest shirt ever and like love it and it won't fit you. And it sucks. But a lot of people I know who do that either try to like sell it or just hang it up as decoration.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because I did realize like either you're getting XXS shirts or you're getting 3XL shirts.
Right.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's never your size.
Totally.
Yeah.
But you could also, like, what we did in quarantine is, like, if we found something we really liked, if you're that creative and, like, DIY crafts in a way, and have the time to do so, is, like, we made it into other things that we also thought we'd like, which is also still, like, recycling clothing and making something useful for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But it is cool, like, going to the thrift store and not expecting anything and then finding this really cool piece for your wardrobe and then kind of, like, building that outfit based on that piece. Like, thinking, like, oh, I got this cute tee. Like, what am I going to wear it with?
Yeah.
I have a jeans at home or I have these pair of shorts,
Right.
So, like, I like that creative part of it. And I feel like I know you say you don't, but you've really changed your whole wardrobe and style based off of thrifting.
Definitely, and I'd like to touch on that too, because it's not like, I'm from Illinois, so I definitely had that like flannel, hoodie, maybe jeans, mostly like joggers, sweatpants style before in like high school, and yeah, it didn't happen overnight. It was really just like an accumulation of going time after time, and then it's like, all right, I know I like love this style of jeans. Like these are comfy. What I'm really looking for is like something that is visually appeasing, comfortable, and then if you get enough clothing, you can start like piecing outfits together, and that's also a fun part of like the creative process. Is like you were saying, when you find something kind of crazy at the bins that looks cool, and then it's like, all right, like I could probably throw this into an outfit somewhere, you know?
Like, can I pull this off? That's always what I ask myself. Is like, I know other people can, but can I?
Right.
I don't know.
Do you guys find it more rewarding, kind of putting your own outfits together, and being like, I found both of these separately in 2 different places, but like it looks great together now. And like besides, like if you go to a regular store, I feel like if you're at like H&M or Zara, they kind of have outfits that they want you to wear.
Yeah,
right.
They have a style that they
Yeah.
want you to kind of like wear. And so I was wondering, like, do you find it like rewarding being like, I put this together, like nobody else is wearing this exact set of like stuff, I guess.
That's what I love about thrifting too. Is like, well, bad is it's never actually in your size. You always have to look, but no one else really has that piece. When you go to Zara, it's like, I want this shirt. Hundreds of other girls have that same shirt.
You ever run into so many people with
You
the
know what
same
I mean?
striped shirt at
It's
the
like
bar or
when you're
something,
thrifting and you find that piece that's so special to you, you're like, it's kind of like hard work. Like, I found this, you know, like this is my treasured item or whatever.
I have like, let's say 5 pieces that are like my prized possessions that I'm wearing every week, and it's just very rewarding when you actually do find some nice stuff.
If you guys love gold jewelry as much as I do, you have to check out Slide Jewels. Slide Jewels is a jewelry brand that crafts contemporary and affordable pieces from high-quality stainless steel. From earrings, necklaces, rings, and bracelets, Slide has pieces for everyone. Use code TOSOMEEXTENT to get 30% off your purchase. Links and promo code will be in the show notes, so check it out.
And I'm interested in getting more into thrifting because I want to explore kind of the things you guys have been touching on. But like, if I was somebody who didn't have influence in my life to get me into thrifting or pull me into it, how would I? But I like wanted to get into it still. How would I go about like making that first action to like get into thrifting, I guess?
Right. So I'll speak about that from 2 different perspectives. So from my own experience, you know, Boulder is definitely like a hot spot for thrifting.
Yeah.
Everyone's wearing thrifted clothing. They have shops in the college town.
Yeah.
You're gonna see that kind of stuff everywhere. So like I said, I was exposed to it through a couple friends, and you know, just kind of like, I'm curious about this. Tell me what's good. Like, what should I be looking for? You know, ask to go with them when they go, and you really just learn from doing it. Like, all right, like I like this, I'm just gonna grab that, or like I'm not sure about this, ask them, and they're like, oh hell yeah, that's like sweet, you know. And again, it's only $1.39, so I'm buying most of the things that I'm like unsure about. And so from the second perspective, one of my friends, I took him once last year, and he's out in like the sticks in Wisconsin. And I would send him care packages and like give him clothing when he would come out here, and he would always comment on it saying like, dude, like this stuff is like really cool. I can't believe you're just like giving this away, you know, because it like wouldn't fit me. He's much taller than me, so I'd be giving him my double XLs and all that. But he, you know, thrifting is not big in Wisconsin.
Right.
No, I don't think it's big in the Midwest.
Right.
Yeah.
So he found a Goodwill bins that was really close to him, and he started going a couple times alone, and then he would start telling me like, dude, I've been going with my friends, and like it's fun, but yeah, you still have those people that are pretty impatient and like want to leave because they didn't find anything or are bummed out and like give up after that one time. But just like any hobby, you're gonna find people in a community that are interested in the same things, and I think, you know, like online would be a good way to search, or just go there, and if you see someone your age, just start talking to them, because I've met a lot of people that way too that are like more than happy to tell me what's going on, you know?
Okay, so you think maybe getting out to like your local Goodwill is like a good first step.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Gotcha.
The other thing I feel like we haven't talked about, we've been talking about a lot of like Goodwill bins and Goodwill itself, but there are so many stores that are like consignment stores, like secondhand, that they've already picked out all those cool pieces that people, you know, want and are looking for, all over. Like there's places in Chicago we've been to. There's obviously one in Boulder. There's one in Bloomington. There's a ton in Denver. So I think that would be a great place to start. Not the bins.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, start at like a consignment store or I forgot, like, there's probably so many names of them, but, you know, like smaller boutiques.
There's some underground stuff that was getting kind of picking up off the ground when I was leaving Bloomington. I know there was this one guy he was selling only IU stuff, but he had tons of it, and he was running it out of his basement.
Okay.
And so my roommates and I signed up one day. You sign up, make an appointment to go to his basement, and he's got a ton of stuff out there. And so, like, you kind of have to find those little niches. Like, I found them on Instagram, I think.
I was about to say, another thing I used a lot, especially for, like, decorating my place, and I know you have too, is Facebook Marketplace. That's another really easy way to find secondhand things, not even just clothes, but furniture. You know, home decor, whatever.
And I'll touch on that too, because I decided to live by myself this year for the first time, and obviously that came with a need for furniture, decorations, utensils, like cooking materials, all that stuff. And I, instead of going to IKEA, started off at Goodwill, and yeah, I got a couch, I got a couple nightstands, I got a lamp, some like other lighting stuff. My desk is from there, like throw pillows, everything. You can find a lot more than just clothes.
Yeah. Wow.
It just depends on what you're looking for, really, or need or want.
That's a really good point too. Is you can thrift pretty much anything.
Right. Like I
not only clothes, really.
Yeah.
So anything's pretty much thrifted. When I started going to Goodwill, I'd mostly look for like art pieces. They don't have a ton of it, but like you can find like some cool art pieces. Like I got a painted picture of the skyline of Chicago, which was in Denver. So you never really know what you're gonna find, but
I know I love to go and find, because frames in general are so expensive, but obviously they make the space and like whatever poster picture you're trying to hang up look so much better and more put together. That's like one thing I always look for is frames, and I feel like it's so cheap at Goodwill, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Than getting like a really nice one.
Yeah.
And they still look really cool too. Or, I mean, you also do art, so finding like old posters or old canvases that
like,
you could repaint over.
Definitely, yeah.
It's a good place to start, I think, if you're kind of worried about like me, I was worried about cleanliness when I first started going. And I still am, so I'm very picky when it comes to it. And I don't all the time buy clothes, but one thing I would always look for was like art and stuff, because I felt like it didn't really need to be, like frames are good because like, I don't know, you could wipe it down and it's fine, right? It's like, you get it from anywhere, like a lamp is the same way.
Definitely clean whatever you thrift. Don't just wear it, and I don't even try it on. I mean, I guess like you want to talk about sizing, like it doesn't always work out, but clean it before you use it.
Yeah, I feel like some of that stuff can be pretty nasty too.
Like I had to say that out loud. We definitely clean everything.
Yeah. Do you guys clean unthrifted clothes? Like if you buy something new, do you still clean it?
Most times, yeah.
It still has been touched by people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I do.
But yeah, emphasis on the clean if you're thrifting for sure. One question I did have was, this was interesting to me, and this is one of the humps that I'm having a hard time getting over to me becoming like a real thrifter, someone who
like
goes
casual,
often. Is I like, for example, at ThriftCon today, like I found a lot of really cool stuff.
Right.
A lot of really cool T-shirts. Almost 80 to 90% of it seemed like it was old or like pre-owned. Obviously, it's pre-owned because it's thrifting, but
vintage pieces.
Vintage, yeah, right. But the price points at a lot of these retailers could be $50 for a t-shirt. I was seeing t-shirts running for $300.
Exactly.
So, like we were talking about at Goodwill, you can get really good prices on these clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to somewhere like ThriftCon, like buying pre-owned clothes that are twice as expensive as new clothes, like how do you get over that hump, I guess, of being like, oh, this is pre-owned, but
Yeah.
it's more expensive than something new,
I'll
I
say
guess.
that goes right back into like there are levels to thrifting.
Mhm.
You know, like there are collectors out there that are buying those $300 Star Wars shirts like
Okay.
right off because that's their thing. You know,
Yeah.
that's what they're out there for. But I feel like someone like me is more so just looking for the cooler shirts around like $20 to $30, and that's why going to like the primary store providers like flea markets, Salvation Army,
Mhm.
Goodwill is more rewarding because you do have the potential to find those cooler shirts before they're 50, 60 bucks, and it's rare, but it definitely happens. And yeah.
So that's why they're marking up the price so much, is because they're the rarity of the shirt, or like it's a collector's item. Because like it feels weird to me buying a $300 pre-owned shirt and then like wearing it around.
Mm-hmm.
But it also comes back to like take a different perspective on it. This is like people's hobbies,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
again, like collectors, like this is what they put all their money into.
Yeah.
Especially like, I don't know, like of course today I love looking for jackets, like that's what I like to thrift, and of course like the cute trendy NASCAR, like bomber jackets, whatever.
Yeah.
They're like $300 or $200. Like of course I'm not gonna drop it on that, but if you're really looking and you like that's your style, I could see someone paying for that.
Okay.
Totally.
It's like
So I
it's like
think
paying for a luxury bag almost, maybe, like.
Yeah, except it's
It's
not
just people's-
luxury.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
like people's style. Like they're
Right.
willing to pay more money for their style.
It
It all
is
depends on the person,
Okay.
I feel like.
right. It's definitely more of that like collector's obsession.
Mm-hmm.
At least I'll say from my experience, because like I've met a guy he grew up around Denver. He's been doing this since like middle school, and he's got an entire rack of t-shirts, all band tees, and he'll tell you like, oh yeah, that's 1980 whatever, like Van Halen tour t-shirt. They did that right when they dropped this album,
Okay.
and like this is whatever, like Prince right
Mhm.
before he did this, and it's more just like that for them. Like I'm collecting these pieces of history, kind of, that
Yeah, gotcha.
I can like, because you have the people that collect, let's say like Matchbox cars
Mhm.
and all those,
Or into like.
and I feel like clothing is different because you can actually wear them and like show them off to people,
Mhm.
where most people won't say anything more than like, hey, that's a cool t-shirt, but
Yeah.
some people are gonna be like, holy shit, like
Yeah.
that's sweet, dude.
It's like collecting shoes, I feel like, too.
Totally. Yeah.
It's just
Definitely.
your
like-
preference.
Yeah. It makes
most,
sense.
Yeah, most people like don't wear their most expensive shoes, but it's
definitely.
it's still like you have that opportunity to show them off.
Yeah. Or it's like, it makes you happy, too, to just like, be
Right.
like, I found these.
Right.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense to me. But you, I remember this, today you literally had, this is like probably one of the just parts of thrifting, is you literally had some girl, you were like eyeing a jacket down. You're
Oh
like,
my god.
I saw you eyeing this jacket down, and then you're like, been looking for a jacket for 2 hours. You're like, oh, I like this one. And then some girl snatches it right off the rack right before you got it.
It was like,
and
I was like reaching for it, and she just, and she put it on, and it was so cute, and she bought it, and I was like, and you were like ready to go to the next little shop, and I'm like, I'm waiting for this girl. If she puts it back down, I'm taking it. Like, I'm buying this. Like, I knew I wanted it, And of course, it looked so good on her, and she bought it, and I was just so heartbroken. So yeah, things like that happen too, but you know, life happens.
It's definitely first come, first serve.
Yeah.
Because it's like that at the bins too, where you like are shoveling up a pile of clothing and you see like a potentially cool t-shirt and someone else, you know, is sticking their hand in there before you can even get it from under, and it's theirs. That's just how it goes. It is pretty competitive, which I don't love because I'm not like that, but the people that are out there to collect or resell are gonna be, you know, on ass about that.
They're passionate. They're passionate about this.
They really are.
And I feel like the people at the bins that work there have seen some shit go down.
Oh yeah.
When people are fighting over stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because they seem like they take no shit from people anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, stay back, run on.
They're yelling.
Yeah. They're like almost security
Very
officers
strict.
almost.
Seriously.
I think that was a good chat.
Yeah, that's
Thanks
about all I have to say.
We are doing a part 2 with Cade, so next week we'll be talking about kind of your major and where you are in your career path. So if you enjoyed this, keep watching for part 2 next week. But thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
appreciate it.
Today's episode. I had a lot of fun.
It's great to be here.
Okay, so you guys, if you have been watching, you probably have heard about our ad on Slide Jewelry. Mine just came in. It's so cute. I don't know if you can see. I'll zoom in. But I love it. You guys should definitely check them out. And use code to some extent for 30% off your purchase. Other than that, you gotta get some
Well, I need a new chain, so I'll see if I got anything on there I can find.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
Been in the
I'll
market.
check it out.
But thank you guys for watching. As always, don't forget to subscribe and follow and rate us and provide any feedback you have. But thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Happy Tuesday.
See ya.